I've got this RFA file from you. So this one gets downloaded already. So I need to open up the project first, because this is let's say this is my project that I want to work, that I need to submit, okay? And everything has to be in one file only. So to begin with, I will then need to have the project open, and I will need to designate where I want to place this furniture. For example, I'm going to put it in level 1, so therefore first story, okay? And one of the quickest way to do this is I would just simply drag and drop this furniture piece into it first. Alright, there are many ways to get to Rome in Revit. So one of the ways we can do this would be to just simply drag and drop this file in. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do. And I can press the space bar to toggle the rotational part on where I want to orientate this furniture. So in this case, I will want it to look like that somehow, somewhere here. Let's say, So I've got this furniture placed in already, like this. Okay. Next thing, what I want to do is I want to focus only on the furniture detailing portion. So the rest I really don't want to pay attention to. So therefore, I need to isolate this object. I will need to do that by going to View, going to Call Out, and look for this Call Out drop down list and look for this rectangle. So I will use rectangle here, and I will draw a rectangle first like this. Now once I have done this already, you will notice that under floor plans there will be a first story call out. And then I will next right click and click on rename. And I'll give it a name that I can remember. Alright, I'll just call it, let's say, ball chair plan. Okay, just call this as ball chair plan, like that. And then with this, I would then adjust the bubble or the tag so that it doesn't block me and it is easily identifiable like this. Okay, so I'll just put it like that. And inside here, I would then be able to double click to open it up. I will see this. Next thing what I want to do is, I want to quickly put it into a sheet proper first. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to right click on the sheets portion here, and I will click on new sheet to open a new drawing. So I will look for A3 size title block, since the control standard is, let's say, A3 size. Alright, so I'm going to click on OK, and I've got my new A3 sheet, and I will then drop the ball chair plan into the drawing sheet. Now as you can see, it is obviously too small a scale to be useful in the drawing, okay, to be useful in this sheet itself. So what I would need to do then would be to go back to this ball chair plan again and look for and try to see if I can change the view scale or not. Now if I am not able to do this, I will click on architectural plan, this portion here under view template, and then I will be able to change it from here. Alright, so I'm going to try my luck to see if I can get it to be about, say, 1:15 scale, for example. See if it is a reasonable scale to use or not, and click OK. We will not be able to see too much difference here, but when we go into the drawing sheet, we should be able to see an update. Okay, it is still not showing up here. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to try again and do it from here. Alright, and click on the architectural plan and change this one to 1:15 scale. Can I do this? Nope, there is no 1:15 scale here. So I'm going to try my luck with, let's say, 1:20 scale then, in this case. And I will click apply and OK. and you now notice that the drawing becomes bigger, and it seems to hold, or to be able to hold more details or show more details that we can see right now. Alright, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to adjust a little bit of things here by right clicking to activate the view so that we can look at two things. Now first of all, you see this continuous line here. This rectangle means it is almost like the crop window or the Autodesk, this AutoCAD's paper space, okay, the viewport. So we can reduce this. If you see, if I reduce this, the viewport, the furniture gets cropped off. Alright, when I expand this, I can see everything. Now when we look at this hidden line rectangle here, this one will refer to the annotation objects that's going to be associated to this view. For example, I do a very quick one. I go to annotate, I look for text, and then I put in something here. I've got to be in the view. So annotate text, and then I begin to type something here. Alright, and once I click on enter, what will happen is I will have this arrow prompt here saying none of the created elements are visible in the floor plan. Ball chair plan view. You may want to check the active view, its parameters and visibility settings, as well as any plan regions and their settings. Alright, for this part here. Now what happens is basically it is because the crop, this annotation crop rectangle is too small to contain that annotation or that material specification symbol. So that's why it is not showing up in this view itself or in this view. So what we would need to do to deal with this is we will need to expand this annotation crop so that the material specification will reappear again. Okay, obviously this is the wrong one, so we will re-specify this. For example, 10 mm thick, clear, transparent polycarbonate. Okay, like that, for example, and then we will then adjust it to become 2 line or 3 line depending on how we need to fit in the drawing itself. So this is item 1 that we need to pay attention to. So again, if the rectangle doesn't need to be so big, then we will naturally reduce this a little bit to save us some paper real estate here. Okay, and then the second part would be we will always need a couple of things. Alright, in a technical documentation set, we will always need the drawing, we will always need the material specification, we will always need the dimension. Alright, but in this case, if you have noticed, I am not able to dimension here to here. Alright, largely because this is a curved object and it's difficult to find the snap point and so on. Alright, so if we cannot find the snap point, then we will make ourselves. Okay, we will create ourselves by going to the detail line under annotate tab. Okay, detail line, and then from here we will look for the thinnest line here. Alright, just look for thin lines so that it gives us something to snap to, and then we will just draw it a little bit like that. Okay, and then for the base itself, I'm just going to draw a little bit as well here, and then I will go to modify and dimension this measure so that I will be able to see this one, to select this line and select the line below so that I am able to create a dimension down here. So that will help me create the overall dimensioning for one, and then I will need likely to create for this one as well, this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part for detail line here. Just a short thin one would do, and then the other one here will do. And I will go to modify again to plot in the dimensioning here and here. Alright, there you go, like this. Okay, so that will be an example for the plan, for example. And let's go back to the sheets again to look at it. So if I'm more or less happy with, let's say, some of these things already, I am going to select the viewport, and then I'm going to make the crop region invisible. So I will end up having the drawing all together, and I will double click outside here, okay, anywhere away from the scene to deactivate the view. And then from here, I need to reposition the drawing tag by clicking and dragging it directly, and I need to click on the viewport in order to be able to resize the length of this drawing tag here, like that. That will, let's say, take care of the plan. Next, we need to create at least, for a design like that, which is symmetrical, we will need to create at least one elevation looking from here and another elevation looking from here. Alright, so that you will more or less fully document the design of the furniture piece itself. Okay, but first of all though, before I do anything else, I need to determine whether this particular furniture itself is classified as a furniture or a casework in this case. Alright, so I'm going to click on the object itself, and then I'm going to click on Edit Family. And then from inside here, I can click on this yellow square button here under Family Category and Parameters. And then I can see and make sure it is not classified as, let's say, a furniture, but instead it is classified as a casework. Alright? And the whole reason why it is like that, okay, and that I want it to be a casework is because inside VG, if you still remember, we talked about this before. Now, for objects or families like furniture, for example, you will find that inside here, when you cut a section, the sections do not show up. You see this in gray. So you cannot see the sections later. But for, let's say, objects like casework, for example, we can cut through it and then it will show up. It is shown in white. That means when it is shown in white, it can be sectionable. Alright, when it is shown in gray, for example, like electrical equipment, then it is not sectionable. Alright, so please, this part I need you guys to remember by heart. Okay, so what's going to happen is we will need at least 2 elevations and at least 1 section here. So I'm going to work on, let's say, the elevation first. By going to View, going to Elevation, drop down list, and I would click on this one, Elevation. Alright, here. So again, I can press on the tab to change the orientation of the elevation until I see where I want it to be. This is one of them. And then another one looking upwards here. Alright, so I should end up with having 2 elevations down here, 1A, 2A. So I'm just going to call this one, I'm just going to rename it as Ball Chair Elevation 1, let's see. And then I'm going to rename this one as Ball Chair Elevation 2 here. And next, I will create a section. So I would cut this one from here to here. Remember, the section is for us to document the construction, and the elevation is for us to document the design. Alright, so that's why we need sections and elevations. I'm going to expand the crop boundary a little bit also. Alright, I'm going to select this viewport here. I'm going to select this to expand the crop boundary a little bit, the annotation boundary. Alright, I'm going to just expand this and expand this a little bit more, so that we can move this to a more strategic and proper location. Okay, like that. Like this, let's say, and then I will move this one. Move this one further down a little bit more, and I'll adjust the view a little bit down also, like this. Alright, and I will also have to adjust the section symbol so that it's not so crowded down here. I'm just going to adjust this one here like that. Okay, so that we can cut it properly and see it clearly, like that. Alright, this way. And so once this is done, I'm going to hide away the crop region and make it invisible so that we can see most of the things, but hide away that frame as well, this way. And again, I've got to adjust the drawing tag a little bit, like this. Alright. Next, I will then begin to pull in the elevations first. So I'm going to just pull in elevation 1, like that. And you'll notice it cuts through everything. So what we need to do is, we will need to make some adjustments to show only what we want to be seeing. So we're going to drag this down, so that we just see this chair like that, and I will adjust this up a little bit here. Okay, doesn't matter at this point, we cannot see the massing and so on, okay, because at this point right now we are only interested in seeing the chair itself, the design of the chair only, because we are documenting the chair. Alright, so the rest we can afford not to show it and all. So again, we need to activate the annotation crop as well, like that. So we're gonna, after we're done with this, we're gonna double click to deactivate this view and then move it up somewhere, let's say here, for example. Okay, shorten the line and move the drawing tag somewhere, let's say here. Alright, like that. And I'm going to drag out elevation 2. Double click to activate the view to go into the viewport, and we drag this down somewhere so that we can see the front elevation of the chair. And I'll double click outside the scene here so that we can deactivate this view and move it so that it aligns nicely. Alright, and I can move this so that it will align to the plan also. This one works. Technically it should align also. Revit is quite smart about these things. Except my aiming not very good. So there you go. We've got it to snap properly already. And I'm going to move the drawing tag as well, and to get it aligned somewhere here. And I'm just going to shorten the line also this way, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to make some minor adjustments to the section line. I don't need it to be this long, taking up so much real estate here, like that. And I can afford to shrink the views down to tighten the cropping. And I'm going to activate the annotation crop, give it a little bit more space in case I need it for further dimensioning or annotation or material specification. Alright, like this. Okay, so we see these inside already, and then Again, same thing, I'm going to make adjustments here and here also. And then I'll stretch this a little just to be very sure. And I will adjust them something like this. Okay, so that takes care of the plan and 2 elevations. So for the section itself, I'm going to look for this one, and then I'm going to rename it. Let's say this is the ball chair section AA. Alright, like that. And I will drag this one in to see the sectional view. I'm going to do the same thing also, activate the view by double clicking on it and cropping it down so that I'm only interested in looking at the section view of the chair. And then I will adjust the crop again so that we will see this and a little bit of the floor. And I will adjust the annotation crop a little bit. And then I will then move this up so that it levels off like that. And I will adjust the drawing text as well, like this. Okay, there you go. So that takes care of now the section. But then the work is not done. The work is not quite done because we still got a bit of things to do with this. So what's going to happen is this section will then lead to details. Alright, we will need to obviously do the necessary hatches and so on. Alright, this part. And a little bit of touching up is necessary for this particular furniture piece itself. Doesn't matter if it is not a top-notch 3D modeling, okay? Doesn't matter as long as we know what we're doing. So what's going to happen is I'm going to open up the sectional view and I'm going to touch this part up. I can go to annotate and I can go to region, masking region, and I can quickly draw something over this, right? At this kind of zooming rate, whatever I draw will be almost microscopic already. So it really doesn't matter whether there is a bit of a difference there and so on. It is not going to really show up in the PDF or in the printout. So I'm just going to draw a region over this area, and I'm going to mask it up like masking like liquid paper, for example. So I will probably be able to mask off this little region down here. Okay, so yeah, it looks a little bit clean up by now. Okay, then obviously if I need them hatched and so on, right, this is foam and so on, I am going to go to field region here, and then I am going to use a thicker line, like probably a 0.3 line, so I can so that I can draw a thicker line here for my hatches, like that. And then can I get away with using an arc knot like this and like this? Yeah, I can probably get away with that. And I'm going to use line here, and likely the foam is going to follow the form, right? So I'm going to get away. I think I'll likely try my luck with using an arc. So I'm going to arc this, and I can just move this somewhere closer to this line will do. And when I'm done, I'm going to look for the type, right? Edit type, so that I can change the hatch pattern. So I'm just going to call it, let's say, foam hatching, for example. And then I will change the pattern for foam hatching to be, what do I use? Let me see. Okay, probably a thicker hex here, a cross hatch here, and okay, and then I'll finish it off. And there you go. I've got my hatch work for, let's say, the foam here. All right. And when this is done, then obviously I need to do a couple of things. I need to specify what material this is. Let's say, what kind of is this a high density high density foam? Okay, high density PU foam, polyurethane foam. Is it something like that? And then again, this one is the shell, right? Okay, what was it, 10 mm that we talked about, 10 mm thick. clear transparent polycarbonate. This is the polycarbonate shell, right? So it's not visible again because the crop region is not big enough. So that's why we need to always make adjustments to this and then adjust our text from here, and then we adjust it backwards like that. Okay, and then yes, we're going to need to specify the height as well. So I'm going to section H this one. I can't quite snap properly on this, so again I'm going to need help by drawing the detail lines here. So I'm going to just draw a thin small little line like that, okay, so that I am able to snap my dimension tool this way from the top to the floor, so that I can indicate the overall height of this particular object, and probably indicate down here also what will be the seating height, let's say somewhere down here. So I'm going to do this and select this one and this one, so that I can get the rough overall height of these two objects down here. Okay, and then lastly, the whole reason why we are going to need a section is also it allows us to draw in some details that we deem will be pretty important to us, especially details like parts that are going to have sharp corners that is going to come in contact with the human body. Alright, so for example, we know that this part is foam, so it is fine, but for this particular polycarbonate shell, right, I would think it is important for us to document this detail and this detail, because if it is not properly treated, it's going to be really sharp and it's going to be dangerous. So therefore we need to go to view again. We need to do a call out. So again, similarly, a call out rectangle like that. Okay, and we will just put a rectangle here like this, and it will allow us to pinpoint a little detail here. Notice in the section view, if we were to place a call out, and then you will now see that there is another ball chair call out again here. So we don't want to call it a section AA call out. We're going to need to rename it as, let's say, we will call it, let's say, detail. Okay, we'll keep the word ball chair detail, let's say 1, for example. Okay, or you can call it detail A or B and so on. And then we will do the same for this one as well, again here, like that. Just for the purpose of making it easier to see, we would want to make it a little bit diagonal, this reference line to be a little bit more diagonal, so that it becomes easier to visualize. Okay, so I'm just going to change the name again, right? I'm just going to rename, copy, and then I will rename this one as, let's say, detail 2. Alright, like that. So we've got 2 details here. So inside these 2 details itself, let's go back to the drawing sheet and take a look now. Now you will see that we've got this, and we will need to adjust the placement again back, because the section is already getting out of the drawing, so we need to realign them backwards again and so on. Okay, so again, what I'm doing here, we should repeat for all the drawings itself. There must be dimensions. There must also be material specifications as well. Alright, so I'm going to just make the crop region invisible so that the drawing is not too hard to read and all. And I think I will need to make the dimension come out a little bit so that it is clearer to see, like that. Okay, and now we're going to work on the details. So again, I would drag this detail into the drawing itself, right? And as it is right now, you see this, it's 1:10. It is obviously too small, so I'm going to make the detail bigger. by trying for, let's say, 1:2 to see whether it will come out or not. Now it looks big enough for us to show, so I think this is fine at 1:2 scale. I will adjust this, and I will adjust the length like that also. And I'm going to pull out this detail as well. And I'm going to just select this view and change it to 1:2 so that it's bigger. And I'm going to adjust this here just to align them properly and all. Like that. And I'm going to make this one longer like this. Okay, then obviously here we are going to need to do some work to it and so on, right? So this is not exactly the kind of detail we want to see, but because we have limited abilities in our 3D modeling skill, right? But it really doesn't matter because we can deal with this. We can, of course, we can go inside there and touch up the drawing a little bit, and we should do this, huh? So what's going to happen is I'm going to go and use the, let me see, I'm going to use, let's say, the masking region here. Okay, and then inside using the masking region, I'm going to start with, let's say, a point. It's a detail, so it needs to be thicker. So I will use a 0.5 line here by starting a point somewhere here, and I will use a an arc here, right? So from here to here, and I'll just tweak this, and maybe another arc from here to here, and I'll just show the arc a little bit, and I'll change this to a straight line like that. And I'm going to try to see if we can also draw in can't quite do a chamfer, so I'm going to try to see if I can draw in an arc as well from here to here, so that it shows a rounded edge like that. Alright, and then when this is done, I'm just going to use these two lines from here, and I'm going to draw another line down from here to here. Okay, this way, and I'll just crop away these portions here like that. Alright, and when I'm done, it should look something like this. Okay, so we can see some line weights already. Okay, and I can adjust the cropping a little bit so that it crops it away and it doesn't look like it's half drawn and so on. Okay, if I were to use just now, if I were to use a field region to do this, alright, if I were to use a field region to do this, I would be able to obviously duplicate this and call it, let's say, polycarbonate. I'll just call it polycarbonate, for example. And if I were to use another hatch pattern to dimension this, right, or to show this, let's say we use this, and I click OK, and then it would have had hatches already like that. So I show you a bad example so that you can see the clear difference between this one and this one. And then obviously I'll just draw over this part here, and then I will be able to do the filling for the foam and the details here. Alright, then again, obviously I'm gonna need to have to do the material specifications. Okay, I need to definitely do this, and I will need to deal with, as usual, the crop rectangle, this part here. And I will also need to how to say this, I will also need to specify, let's say, the thickness of the material itself, let's say using this and this itself. So I will see the thickness of the object here. So we've got something to work with, huh? Like that. Okay, so this will show in detail what the thickness of this particular material is and all. Okay, like that, in the detail. Okay, I hope I didn't lose you there, Wibin. While if you are designing the object and getting it built, you definitely would have to, as a competent interior designer, you cannot just have the look. You need to understand the material as well. It's a what I would say a job requirement that you know what kind of material, specifically what name and so on. Now, okay, one more thing to add also. Now, if you will notice, after you've plot in the object for detailing and so on, right? You will find that in your plan, you might end up with things that are super dense like this. And
Yes.
then it becomes too messy, too hard to manage your scene and so on. So you must remember certain things that really doesn't need to show up here in your overall drawing, by the way. You do not show them. So what is important in this case would be this one. This drawing tag, this bubble is important because it helps us orientate, it helps us identify what furniture or case workpiece you are doing the detailing work on. But then what will not be critically important will be the elevation symbols down here, because it is only centering around this particular object, okay, which you can, once you go into the drawing sheet itself, let's say ID 002, you will be able to see the plan and then the reference and so on here already. Okay, like for example, I'm not going to keep this as 002. I will call it, let's say, ID 401, for example. Okay, 400 series. Ball chair detailing set, for example. I'll just call it this one, like that. Okay, so you will instantly notice all the reference numbers will be changed to 401 now, as it is right now. Everything else will become this. And then you see this ball chair detailing set here. Okay, from the plan all the way down to the detail, this part. Okay, and then we need to do something about this. This is really messy, it shouldn't be there. So what needs to happen is I'm going to select these, right? And then I'm going to click on filter. I would only want to see, let's say, I would only want to select the elevations here. And then I would want to right click to hide in view these elements away. Oh, oops, it seems that I can't. I'm going to filter some more, right, to see if I can just select these views also. And I'm going to right click and hide in view these elements also. So I'm going to end up with a drawing that looks something like this. So I can see the overall plan, but I can only see the drawing tag here, okay, that will identify this particular object for further detailing set work here, like that. So I'm going to end up with a drawing sheet that's going to look something like this. Alright. The walls and the windows, no, if you are detailing, look, if you are detailing only this particular furniture, you would isolate everything away. That means you will not see the rest of all these things, you know. It's the final set will look something like this. Because I am only interested in looking at the ball chair at this point. So the rest I will ignore for now. It's going to look just like that. No, nothing else but just the ball chair. If you notice, I'm not gonna see the elevation of the walls behind it, the doors and the windows and all that. No, because I'm isolating this as just the ball chair material or just the ball chair fixture or furniture. Nothing else. Well, this one ball chair is the one that you have selected to work on, so therefore it's going to look something like that.
Okay.
Okay, but then this one is embedded inside your project. Remember, your whole project. So you're going to see a lot of drawing sheets down here already for this part here on detailing. So that's why I run a demonstration to just show you how to take in an RFA file to import into the project, and then how to isolate it so that it becomes a detailing set. We are seeing nothing else around the site and so on. We are seeing none of those things. We are just documenting the ball chair. Let's say the fixture or the furniture only, nothing else. And remember this very, very clearly. I repeat one more time in case I lose you from here. You must establish this particular object that you are building. You must know that it is a casework at least and not a furniture. Because if it is defined as a furniture, we are going to have a problem. Let me show you. You see this one, this is a section, correct or not? This one is a section, this one is an elevation. Alright. Now, if I were to go inside and tweak this, I'm going to edit family here. If I were to go inside the family here and tweak it so that it becomes, let's say, a furniture, for example, alright, and then I reload it into the project. No, I don't want to save it. If I reload and overwrite everything, then if you will notice here, we are going to see a big difference here, because down here, hey, suddenly the section is gone and the section is going to look like an elevation. Alright, simply because in the VG, if you look at it, furniture, you look at furniture itself, it's highlighted in gray color. Alright, it's in gray color, means it doesn't cut sections. You cannot cut a section to it. Alright, so when you force it to cut a section, right, like this, if you force it to cut a section, even though you force it, it is not going to cut. Okay, the reason why you see this foam here is because it's what we've drawn in. Alright, this is a manually drawn in piece. Alright, so that's why you see this. So please make sure you know what you are doing, that you go inside, you go and select the object, you click on edit family, and then you change them accordingly. Alright, you click on this yellow button here down here that says family category and parameters. You click on this one and you change it from furniture to casework here, and then click OK and load into project and close. Don't need to save this, just load into the project and overwrite the existing version and its parameter values. And once you have done this, you will find that now the section will be reinstated accordingly, like that. Alright, so something for you guys as new users to pay attention to. Alright, here. Okay, thank you.